Okay, everybody, it is officially 6 p.m. Eastern. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Red Bear Prep Net with your host, Montana Jim, and me, Red Bear, as your net control. Here's how things are going to work. We're going to start taking names and also what state you're in to get you registered. If you'd like to monitor, please, while registering, let us know that you would like to monitor only. Let me clear with the last person who calls before you call. Thank you very much. Can I have the first person go ahead and please give me their call?
DC, South Louisiana.
John from California.
Matt in Southeast Tennessee.
Aaron, Butte, Montana.
Let's let Red Bear catch up.
Believe it or not, PC, I was doing good, but thank you. Yes, you've got a point. Let me go ahead and call all these people back here. So we've got Damage in Michigan monitoring. I've got TC in South Louisiana. I've got John in California, Matt in Tennessee, and Aaron in Montana, he says. Okay, I'll go ahead and take the next caller for getting registered. Please go ahead.
Mud Flat, Colorado.
Copy that. Glad you're back. Mudflap, glad to have you here. We got you down here in Colorado. Next caller, please go ahead.
JW, South Louisiana.
Welcome back, JW. We got you down, brother. Glad you're here. Next caller, please go ahead.
Good evening. This is Donna in Montana.
Welcome in, Donna. Welcome in, dear. Glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. Next caller, please go ahead. Okay, before we get started, I would like to say a special happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out here tonight, and also to everybody's mothers that they have in their personal lives as well. Welcome into the Red Bear Prep Net. Hey, Jim, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Red Bear. Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to everybody there. So, and welcome, Aaron from Montana. I'm just south of you. Anyway, let's get this show on the road, and it's going to be a little technical. Unfortunately, the last couple have been, but again, the expanded presentations will hopefully help this make a lot more sense. So, and we'll get to where you can see those at. So let me break here, and let's get going. Okay, we're going to do communications modes, and we're on part 3. So, last week, we finished the radio communication voice modes of single sideband and digital voice. Now we're going to move into the digital text communication modes. Now, these modes mostly fall under amateur radio. So, this discussion might encourage you to get your ham license, and there's really a lot you can do. Digital text modes allow operators to send written messages over the radio using a computer connected to a transceiver. Now, instead of speaking into the microphone, the operator types a message on a keyboard. The computer converts that text into a series of audio tones, which are transmitted by the radio. And of course, after the receiving station gets it, another computer decodes those back into readable text. Right? Now you're asking, why use these text modes when I can just talk on the radio? These modes are especially useful when signals are weak. noisy, or fading, making voice communications difficult or impossible to understand. Some of the digital modes are error correcting to encourage or ensure your message is correctly received at the other end in all but the most extreme conditions. Another advantage is that most computer programs used for digital modes will automatically keep a complete log of what you transmitted and what was received, making it easier to review conversations and maintain records. The other advantage of these modes is that they are great for sending instructions or lists of needs, as the receiving party can print them out for reference and not have to rely on memory, right? Now, some of the digital modes are available. Radio teletype, or RTTY. This is one of the earliest digital communication modes used in radio. RTTY, usually referred to as RTTY, works by sending text using two alternating tones, often called mark and space. These tones represent binary data similar to the early computer systems, and they take up only 270 to 370 hertz of space. RTTY is relatively simple and robust, and it is still used today, especially in contests and special events, and usually transmits between 60 and 100 words per minute. That's kind of fast. Break. The strengths of RTTY. RTTY is easy to set up, widely supported by many radios and software programs. It allows real-time keyboard-to-keyboard communication. The limitations of RTTY. RTTY is not very efficient in terms of bandwidth compared to newer digital modes. It also does not perform well in very weak signal conditions. Another text mode is PSK31. It's a very popular digital mode designed for efficient, low-power communication. The name PSK31 comes from phase shift keying at a rate of 31 baud. Instead of switching between tones like RTTY, PSK31 changes the phase of a signal audio tone to encode the data. Great. Now, PSK31 will transmit data between 50 and 70 words per minute, depending on the PSK31 mode used. Now, this is slower than RTTY, but PSK31 can receive and decode weaker signals than RTTY can. The strengths of PSK31. PSK31 uses very little bandwidth, typically around 31 hertz. It works well with low power, making it ideal for portable and QRP operations. When I run PSK31, my power is usually set to around 20 watts. QRP refers to operating with very low power, typically 5 watts or less, to achieve efficient communication with minimal power. It allows smooth, real-time keyboard conversations across the United States and the world. Great. Limitations of PSK31, there's always this. PSK31 can be sensitive to tuning errors and interference. It is not as robust as some newer modes in very poor signal conditions. Olivia is a digital mode specifically designed for weak signal and noisy conditions. It uses multiple tones and forward error correction to ensure that messages can still be decoded even when parts of the signal are lost. It is much slower than PSK31 at 15 to 60 words per minute, but the error correction makes up for the slower data transfer. There are more than 40 options of Olivia to pick from. Great. The strengths of Olivia. Olivia performs extremely well in weak or fading signal conditions. It can successfully decode messages even when signals are difficult or impossible to hear by ear. The limitations of Olivia. Olivia typically uses more bandwidth, from 250 to 1,000 hertz. That very narrow modes like PSK31. It also transmits data more slowly due to the extra error correction. Now, the popular digital program, FLDigi, supports RTTY, PSK31, Olivia, and 100 more digital modes. It can also transfer files using FLAMP and forms and messages using FL Message. There's a lot of digital things out there. Great. Digital signals can pack more conversations into a small amount of radio spectrum and be decoded under conditions where voice communication would not be possible. Now, JS8 call is another modern digital communication mode and program based on the FT8 waveform, but designed for actual messaging rather than just signal reports. It allows operators to send short, structured messages, acknowledgments, and even relay messages through other stations. Unlike many other digital modes, JS8 call is designed to support more organized and intentional communication. Stations can call specific operators, send directed messages, and even leave messages to be picked up later. Great. JS8 call also includes features that allow stations to automatically respond to certain commands, such as signal reports or location requests, which makes it useful for building simple communication networks. The strengths of JS8 call: JS8 call works very well in weak signal conditions. It supports semi-automated messaging and network-style communication between stations. It can store and forward messages, allowing communication even when stations are not available at the same time. The limitations of JS8 call: it is slower than voice communication and some other digital modes. Because it uses structured transmissions, conversations are less free-flowing and more sequential. Great. Now, the expanded presentation I talked about is on our YouTube channel. It has more information on this topic, including examples of what these digital modes sound like. You can find them at youtube.com/@prepnet-talk2me. Now, next week, we'll continue with more information on the digital modes, and the final one in this series. Continuous wave, commonly called CW, or Morse code, practical application scenarios, and we're going to touch on Meshtastic. If you have any questions about what we have discussed here or anything about prepping, please ask during the roundtable or send your questions to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. And sorry this is so technical, but we're trying to give you all of the possible communication things that are out there for you to design a communications plan. I'll send it back to Red Bear.
Thank you very much, Jim. And I'm aware of a few other ones out there as well with GMRS. There's a company called BTEC, and their Pro Series line radios can also send short, small text messages back and forth as long as you're in range of each other with those particular radios, and you're using the phone app to send the message through the radio. But with that, we'll check real quick. Do we have anybody else who would like to get registered for the net? Please go ahead.
Good evening, Red Bear. This is Music Man checking in.
Hey, Music Man, what state are you in, sir?
I am in Virginia. To be more precise, Winchester, Virginia.
Very interesting town there, sir. Very interesting. Do we have anybody else out here that would like to get registered tonight? Please go ahead. Okay, we'll start working our way down the list. I was going to ask you a question, too, about one specific mode, Jim, but towards the end of the presentation there, you said you have a few more to bring up. So I'm just going to sit back and I'll wait for next week to see if this mode gets brought up. So, yeah, thank you, Jim. That was really good information there. We're going to do a short little break here. Hey, TC out there in South Louisiana, do you have any questions or comments tonight on the topic, sir? Please go ahead.
Yeah, so 2 questions from Montana Jim. First, I think it's called audio text, what you're just talking about. The radios that are capable of doing that, like what do they physically look like? Their size, their mobility. Can they be transported and all that? And second question, do you use any yourself? Do you like them?
Okay, good deal, TC. Thanks for the question. There are a lot of different radios. Most of the radios will interface with a computer. So there are, like this FL-Digi, you can use a handheld radio that can be connected to a computer. The computer is the interface. Most radios, except for like a DMR and such, on the ham side, don't actually do the digital sending. You need something in between, which is the computer. And you can, the radios so any radio that can connect to a computer via a sound card can turn around and do any of these digital modes. And so like the program I mentioned, FL-Digi, like I said, there's 100+ different modes, and it doesn't do all of the modes. So there's a lot of modes out there, and they each have their own little specific thing. Does that sort of answer your questions? And if not, ask some more.
Yes, I think it does. So I didn't know if you answered that or not, but I didn't catch that part. Did you get do you use any? How do you like them?
Oh yes, I do. Yeah. That's why I don't rely on my memory. I do use FL-Digi. And again, the radio is not necessarily the thing. Most amateur radios will be able to be interfaced with a computer, but I've used digital modes to talk all the way down to Brazil, Great Britain, all over the United States, and I literally on some of these modes I monitor the signal, and I do not hear the other station. I see it on the computer, but my ear cannot pick it up, and it decodes it absolutely fine. So it's really an interesting thing, and I'm kind of sorry that it's only on amateur radio for all these things that I'm talking about. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. So I'll send it back.
Okay, and one last thing. Thank you for saying that, because that just reminded me. What do you mean by the term amateur radio? What does that mean?
Okay, good question. A lot of people might not know that. I'm a ham operator, licensed by the FCC. Some of you out here already know, what that is. It's to do GMRS, you get a license. You basically pay a fee, and the license is good for 10 years. Amateur radio was created a long, long time ago to have a reserve of trained radio operators. And you have to remember that for a long time, the only mode of communication, or the most widely used communication mode, was CW, or Morse code. So the government thought, well, if we have this hobby, which people were getting into before there was an FCC, that's where it came from. And the amateurs, and let me break real quick, and this may be boring to some, but the amateur radio services was given frequencies that nobody used at that time. And the amateurs developed those frequencies, those modes of communication, and eventually a lot of that was taken over by commercial radio. And they keep giving us higher and higher frequencies, and the amateurs who just love to build things and experiment have come up with that. So if you want to be able to operate on amateur radio frequencies, you do have to get an amateur radio license. That does require a written test, and there are 3 levels: technician, general, and advanced. And they each have questions you have to be able to answer, and it's a lot easier than it used to be, because you used to have to pass a Morse code test, and they have dropped that. So, does that give you? And again, you go look up anywhere on the on the internet for amateur radio, and you'll probably get a lot of information about it.
And for that answers everything. Thank you. Back to net control.
Thank you very much, TC, and thank you, Jim. Also, fair warning for everybody that may be interested in getting a ham license. Jim, I've heard a rumor that the pool of questions for each individual exam that they have, this is the last year. There will be a whole new batch of questions starting 2027, from what I've heard. So if you get in and take your technicians right now, and you're interested in going higher and maybe getting your general like I did, and you do it this year, I would definitely recommend getting your general this year as well, because the FCC will not recharge you for the license fee again this year. And then if you want that extra, definitely grab that as well. Then you won't be caught up in the 2 pools of questions for the licensing. I'm going to give a short break here. One quick time here. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead. Okay, we're going to move on down to John in California. John, how you doing tonight? Do you have any questions or comments about tonight's topic? One more try for John in California. Are you still with us, sir? Okay, he might have had to step out there. How about Matt? Matt in Tennessee, how you doing tonight? Do you have any questions or comments on tonight's topic?
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Red Bear. No, it's a lot of things to take in, a lot of technical things. I have Mesh-tastic, even though I haven't been on it in a little while, and I got some lower radios. You know that too, but I haven't dabbled in that a whole lot. Plus, I'm on GRMS, the call sign WSIN 856. But yeah, there's a lot of forms of communication. Jim knows way more about it than Red Bear. You guys both know about it way more than I do. So I don't really have much more to add, but it's good to kind of listen in and check it out. So back to you, Red Bear. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, thanks a lot for that, Matt. And also, having your GMRS license, you can challenge yourself and still learn with GMRS a lot of things that you can also learn being a ham operator. So you just don't have all these different modes at your disposal with just a GMRS license. So that's something to think about. But we're going to move on down to Aaron in Montana. Hey, Aaron, how you doing tonight, sir? And do you have any questions or comments on tonight's subject? Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, guys. No, I don't really. Actually, I should have just told you I was going to monitor, but yeah, no questions, no comments.
Okay, well, thank you for coming back, even though you wanted to just monitor. Appreciate you being here, sir. We'll move on down to Mudflap in Colorado. Hey, Mudflap, you got any questions or comments tonight? Please go ahead, sir.
Just one comment. I heard you talking about those VTech GMRS radios. I actually have the little the 5-watt GMRS Pro. It's got GPS on it. It's got a compass. It's Bluetooth. You can connect it directly to your phone. It's a pretty cool radio. Back to you, net control.
Yeah, Mudflap, that's actually one of the first GMRS radios that I had was we got two of them. Was those BTEC HT Pros there, and they're really good radios with that phone app. You can connect Bluetooth, and you can send messages back and forth, just like again, using Meshtastic for example. So, but it's short range communication. A lot of the stuff that Jim's talking about tonight, these forms of, digital text, these are longer range communications. So, but that feature with the BTEC radios there is very, very nice in short range communications, definitely. So, yeah, and thanks for being here, Mudflap. Hey, JW in South Louisiana, do you have any questions or comments tonight? Please go ahead, sir. We'll try one more time for JW here. JW, you still with us? Well, he's a busy man. He might have had to pop out there for a minute. How about you, Donna, dear? Do you have any questions or comments tonight?
No, not tonight. Just sitting here trying to absorb all this information.
Copy that, and happy Mother's Day to you, dear, one more time. So glad you're here with us. We're going to move on down to Music Man in Virginia there. Music Man, do you have any questions or comments tonight? Please go ahead, sir.
All right, Bear, I would just like to say thank you for making this, I'll call it platform, available. I think it's going to be fantastic for people who want to get into all phases of radio. So on the first meeting tonight, I just would simply like to say thank you, and please forgive me, but your partner's name, I think it was from Montana. Thank you so much for doing this for all of us.
Yep, Music Man, his name is Jim. So I'm very glad that he stepped in to start helping me out with this net. And also, this net, even though it's on Talk2Me, and it's not a ham radio here that we are all operating on, this net is based off of real ham radio etiquette on a net. The only difference really is, instead of having our call signs, mine is KFA FQA on ham radio, we're using our usernames, and we still let it, register with what state we're in and things like that. And we still go down the registry list to talk to everybody individually. So this is ran just like a real ham radio net right here. But okay, hey Jim, we're going to pass it back to you for any thoughts or comments or questions for anybody. Please go ahead, boss.
Break.
Go ahead, break.
Yeah, Red Bear, I was kind of busy a while ago when you called me. I was giving my daughter some antibiotics due to IV. Listen, Jim talked briefly about Meshtastic. I know that I've dabbled in that a little bit earlier on, several months ago, and it's pretty interesting. But I know that you do have to have a kind of like a network. The more people involved, scattered out throughout the country, the better your Meshtastic network will work. I just wanted to make a comment about that.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And I think you were part of the group too for a while there, JW, with Falcon and Wolf and myself and Keith playing around with Meshtastic devices. Yeah, we had a really good time back then. So, yeah, very true. You do have to grow a network there to keep that going really good. So, and that's another form of short range communication, but you grow your network. You'd be surprised how far you can get out. Very true, very true. But Jim, we'll throw it back to you, sir.
Okay, good deal, Red Bear and everybody else. Thanks for all the questions and comments. And yeah, we did. I did mention Meshtastic, JW. I'm going to cover that next week. And everybody needs to remember, we are not getting into super big details here. This is very generic. If I say something that piques your interest, then you can turn around and you can do some more research on it. The point we're trying to make here is we're trying to bring up all types of subjects, the questions, etc., on preparing, because you might not have thought of them. And so, like with this communications one, which is not the only thing, let me break here. We have other topics that we have covered, electricity, solar, bugging out, food, things of that nature. So I'll give the little beat the dead horse, which we do all the time. The YouTube channel, we post all of these nets in an expanded form on our YouTube channel. And they usually contain more information than what we do over the radio, because some things really need to have a visual component. So far, we've got over 50 nets up there. So you're welcome to go take a look at those. And they're anywhere from 6 to 9 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. And we build upon a net. So this net, we talked about something, we're going to build on that next week. So let me break real quick here. So I would really encourage people to get caught up with that. We're on the 5th or 6th version of this communications one. So going back to the beginning, which we talked about planning and things of that nature. Anyway, go to youtube.com/@, that's the @ prepnet-talk2me. And that'll get you to our YouTube channel. We also record these presentations, so you can turn around and not only hear the presentation, but all of what we've just heard here with the round table and the comments, et cetera, et cetera. So let me break one more time. And just a little more note on ham radio. The reason we talk about it a lot here is what it gives you. If you get a GMRS license, you can only use UHF frequencies, which are short range. If you get an amateur radio license, that gives you all sorts of different bands, and they range from short range communications to long range. And I mean literally around the world. And so knowing all about radio and all of the different modes of communications, because as you know, we preach here, there is not one solution that will fit everything, no matter what it is, whether it's radio, electricity, shelter, doesn't make any difference. There's multiple ways to do things, and not one is going to be your total fix there. So let me break one more time. So I encourage you to go look at the YouTube channel and see what topics we have covered. The very first one, we started right from the get-go. What's the first thing you do to start preparing? And we've worked our way up, and we're going to continue to work our way up. So anyway, I appreciate all the questions, and in the participation. And again, if you have any suggestions of things we should cover, please send an email to our email thing at prepnetch14@gmail.com and tell us what things you want to hear about. If you have questions, send those too, and we'll get back to you. So I'll throw that back to Red Bear.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jim, for all that. I do have one quick question for you. With me just recently passing my general, I am looking at QRP, and I'm planning on operating and doing that. Now, with QRP, we were focusing more so with using text modes with QRP. Am I correct with thinking that you can also do voice modulation on QRP as well?
Absolutely. In fact, QRP started with CW, Morse code, and voice. The digital modes haven't been around that long in the great scheme of things. Maybe 20 years, except for RTTY, radio teletype. So yes, you definitely. A lot of the parks on the air things where people go to a park and they activate, a lot of them are running QRP because they're actually packing their gear in, so they can't take big batteries in a big rig. And and a lot of that is single sideband. So yes, you absolutely can. Let me break one quickie. If you want to do things sort of on the cheap, a QRP radio, if you get the equivalent of a Yaesu 100-watt radio and a Yaesu QRP radio, they're about the same cost. So if you don't want to have two radios on something like that, I would get the 100-watt radio because you can always tune down the amount of power that you're putting out and become a QRP radio. But to answer the base question, yes, you can turn around and do voice communications with QRP, and it does it quite well.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, I've got a Yaesu 991A, and I know I can drop that down to 5 watts and go QRP that way. And I was going to be playing around with that, so I just have to do a little bit of research into possibly a battery hookup for that, because I am going to be doing some POTA activity with that, as well as working in the house with it. So I've got a little learning to do. So I'm kind of excited about that. But all right, at this time, I just want to check really quick. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead. All right, then with everybody that we do have registered, do we have any more questions or comments tonight? We'll just open her up.
No, I just want to say thank you, guys. Appreciate it, Jim and Red Bear. Very informative, so thank you, guys.
Copy that, Matt. We're glad you came in. And yeah, we'll just thank everybody right now for coming in and checking out the net tonight. Happy Mother's Day again to everybody out here, especially all the mothers out here as well. So, and hey guys, let me give a short break here. If you would, tomorrow night, come over to channel 23, the Space Channel. Check out what I got going on there. It will be conspiracy theories and ghost stories with the Red Bear. It's just going to be an open chat, open talk. So no registration, nothing like that. Just hanging out, talking about conspiracy theories, ghost stories, whatever, you know. I think we all get the concept. So let me break one more time real quick. Actually, Jim, do you have any last thoughts or comments before we wrap it up, sir?
No, I think we covered this pretty good. And again, sorry guys, things have to be a little bit on the technical side. I tried to eliminate as much technicality as possible, but sometimes I just can't help myself. So anyway, you guys have a good rest of what's left of the weekend.
I'm here. Sorry. I got tied up with Mother's Day stuff.
Mama Katie, that'll be 6 demerits. We're wrapping it up, but we'll go ahead and get you down on the registry. Thanks for popping in. So once again, everybody, thanks for coming. Happy Mother's Day, and have a great rest of your weekend, and have a good start to your week. We'll say 73 here to everybody, and we'll catch you next week, same time, same channel here. At this time, we'll turn channel 14 to prep channel back over to regular operations. Talk to y'all next week.
And 4, thank y'all.
Hey, TC, I just want to say thank you for your questions, man. Really appreciate it. You were doing a good job there, bringing it out and getting the answers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. It's like, it's not just me wanting a question, but it's like, I don't know this question. It sounds like a question many people might not know, so let's get it answered for everybody.
Kind of reminds me of a situation earlier today. Another customer that I was working with, trying to help him with the radio, it was kind of going past what I could do. So I got Ryan involved, and Ryan got into the programming on the radio, said everything was fine. And this is a radio that I don't own and I'm not familiar with. But I remembered that JW said something about a certain button on the radio. I had the customer push it, and it fixed their issues. So all the gentleman did is switch from his public network over to his private network by mistake.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So how are you, Montana Jim?
Doing good, DC. Hey, made some soap. Was waiting for it to cure, and it was a lot less of a hassle than what I thought it was going to be. And even made some tallow balm for skin conditioning. So thanks for your presentation there. It did spark some interest in stuff to do.
Oh, no problem. That's good to hear. So you use beef tallow or something else?
Yeah, I did beef tallow. I did get some lard. I want to test that out too. So I'm in the experimentation mode at the point right now. Before I make a big batch, I want to find out what recipe sort of works for us and everything. So I've done a 100% tallow, and I've done a 90-10 using the olive oil and such. So see how it all works, but it's pretty impressive, and it's not that big a deal, and it doesn't take a whole lot of finances to get into it, even if you have to buy all the components, unlike you where you're rendering your own.
Oh yeah. It's great stuff. So let me know how it comes out. I hope it works all right. And yeah, there are many different scents you can use. Not just soap, but all kinds of products. There's a lot. My thumb keeps slipping off the microphone for some reason. But at our local farmers market around here, there's a lady that sets up under a tent, and she's got all kinds of beef tallow products from. Literally, it takes one table to hold all her scents of soap. She has an unbelievable amount of soap scent. And then she's also got tallow lip balm, tallow bath bombs, tallow deodorant, tallow this, tallow that. And it's all good. It's much better than what you find out at the store.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the tallow balm that we made, 100% tallow and olive oil, just something simple. Really good skin conditioner. Oh my gosh, definitely much better than any of the lotions you can buy, and a whole heck of a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah, she does that too. Tallow skin conditioner, tallow lotion. Tallow is literally just a natural moisturizer on your skin. There's nothing comparable to it. I use that all the time, man. But one thing I did want to say, lard. We've never actually made soap with the lard yet, pig lard. So we're planning on doing it very soon because we have lard canned in jars already that we saved from a hog we butchered a couple months ago, and we're gonna make some soap with that as soon as we can. Now I'll let you know how that comes out, but I'd have to guess that lard soap is going to be a bit softer compared to tallow soap because the raw lard, well, I wouldn't want to use the word raw, like just lard after you rendered it and stuff. You know what I mean? It's much softer than tallow. So I'd have to guess the soap would be different.
Right. Yeah. There's that. Its shelf life is about half of what tallow is, whatever your product, either in its quote raw form, or even in its soap form. But it is supposedly smoother, and you can sort of beef it up. From the research I've done with just a little bit of beeswax will make it a little bit more firmer. And also the olive oil, if you put that in, that helps with firming, making the bar harder. But yeah, I want to experiment with that too.
Yeah. It's going to really just improve the quality of your skin a lot using that stuff. Before long, you'll turn off your TV when you see all those commercials about treatments for eczema and skin allergies and stuff. But yeah, great stuff. I'm glad you're into it, and let me know how all your different soaps come out.
Okay, we'll do. And so the soap thing's almost like prepping. It's like each person has a different. They want a different thing. Like we're not using any scents. That's not the reason we're doing it. We're doing it for, dry, itchy skin type thing. So we're focusing on that. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff that you can do with tallow, and like you say, it's good. It's good for you. You can. I don't know if you know this. Let me break real quick. You can dual use it. So, if people use tallow and they use lard to cook with, to deep fry. In fact, as McDonald's used to use tallow to do their French fries. And when you're through, as long as you haven't like burnt the food or deep fried fish, you can use it to make soap. So when you get through with using it for cooking, you can literally use that same tallow. You do a filtering process, and you can then make soap out of it. So it's a dual use product.
Yeah, I definitely knew you could cook with tallow. Fry stuff with it. Like, yeah, makes sense. But also the tallow can simply replace the Crisco, like the Crisco that you bake with. That's what tallow is used for. And it's a lot better. It's healthier. Very high heat smoke point, which is another good thing.
Yeah, after your little presentation, and I started doing some more research on it, I did not realize that it had that many uses, and it had way more pluses than minuses. In fact, there really weren't any minuses. So really appreciate you giving that. Hopefully we can get some more guest speakers that, will give a little presentation and get everybody's brains to thinking about something that they hadn't. And that was one of them for me, is tallow, quote, lye soap had always had a bad reputation, and it's just because back then when it was used, it was all done by feel, oh, gee, that looks about right. They didn't have the capability of the measurements and the science we have now, which makes it completely safe, and actually even better than your store-bought soap. So I appreciate you giving the presentation.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Now that you mention it, that might be a good idea for another presentation. One last just overview about the tallow, like all the stuff you can do with it. Because, quote, prepping, when it comes down to it, there's not going to be anything in the stores. So you're going to have to grow your own stuff and butcher your own stuff, and you're going to have so much fat left over, and you can make tallow and do all kinds of stuff. So maybe that could be a good talk about all the different things. Not necessarily how to do every little thing, but give ideas.
Right, exactly, and you're on the right road there, because this whole subject of preparing you can get real deep into it if you want to get into specifics, and not everybody needs that type of preparing. It depends on their situation. So just bringing the ideas out there, and if it piques somebody's interest, that's good. And then they can turn around and do further research and find out for themselves, and maybe even find out that it even does more than what we present here. So anyway, I appreciate the question. Hopefully I answered all the questions on the ham radio licensing. There's a lot to it, and depending on what you want out of radio communications, I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff, including bouncing signals off the moon, if that floats your boat.
Oh yeah, and it's a good thing you did all that. Many weeks of all about electricity, because all that radios, communication. Eventually you're going to need to charge those radios. So it's a good thing we got all that too.
Well, hopefully we've just piqued everybody's interest just to take a look. And, if not, nothing lost.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, I'll think about that. That's a good idea. Oh, not tonight. I'm busy. Probably not this week, but I'll start thinking about another topic about tallow, just stuff you can do with it, because it was very intriguing to a lot of people at that net about making soap with tallow. So they might come to interest about all the other things you can do with it.
No, exactly. And you've listened enough to know that I preach. Whatever you do, it has to be really flexible. So, like with food, I don't preserve meals. I preserve the components. So now I've got the total complete flexibility to do whatever I want. With a lot fewer things. It just makes things easier. And all the tallow products, it's the same thing. You have you have one product that can be used in many, 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 many different ways, and that just makes your food storage or your equipment storage or whatever take up a lot less space.
Oh yeah. I agree with that. But tallow is a great thing. It's been used for centuries, like before a lot of things. But more recently, people don't really look into that anymore, you know? Oh, I just remembered one more thing that you can make with tallow. Candles.
Right. Yes. Yes, you're right. And I I haven't researched it super great, but yeah. And again, if your tallow, if you use your tallow for cooking, as I'm talking deep frying, not just a little bit in the frying pan. Yeah, you can either use it for to now make your soap or to make candles, and you can do the same thing with lard. So so yeah, so that's not a bad idea. You might be able to find a whole bunch of other things that you could use with tallow. It's just one component that could be used for a whole bunch of different things.
Hey, Montana Jim. Um, that place I was talking about. If you're on Facebook, that place has a page, and they'll throw you a lot of ideas about all the stuff they got. If you're on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a Facebook account. You would think listening to me talk about all the technology stuff, and I don't have Facebook, Instagram, uh, X, or any of that other stuff. So I'm kind of the old ways when it comes to that. But yeah, there's a lot of sources for stuff like that. Anyway, we'll let you go. And again, appreciate all your participation and anybody out there that's listening. I mean, y'all jump in if you got any kind of questions about this stuff. Anyway, with that, I'll go ahead and just stand by here.
10-4 Montana Jim. Yeah, I don't have any of that Facebook stuff either, or anything else. I don't really want it. It's just the people around us. They tell us about it for us, so that's cool. But yeah, good conversation. You have a good evening.